IMHO Talk Show. How y'all feeling today? Should I even ask?
We had to do it, man. We
had
to, man. Yeah. Okay, you want to tell them who's out there?
Hypothetically speaking, or literally, figuratively?
Man.
We had to do it?
Homie, listen. Homie been trolling the whole world for 4 years. We got to troll him one time, man.
Hey, man.
Man.
I feel you.
Hey, what you say around Trump 2020?
Trump 2020! listen, and I'm not. Y'all know, I've been saying for the last month, it ain't over until homie pack his bag.
I told you. But think about it though. Then he got to walk down Black Lives Matter Boulevard.
Oh Lord,
that's the part I want to see. I might drive all the way to DC just so I can stand across the street while he walked down Black Lives Matter 2020.
And I think that the other interesting part, fellas, is that everybody is the level of energy that people have. He doesn't realize you created all of this.
Yes, sir.
You see what, like all this negative energy that he doesn't want, he created all the negative energy.
Do you remember when I told y'all a long time ago, sometimes there's a necessary evil?
Yeah, I remember that.
Y'all remember when I told y'all that?
Yeah, I remember that. Unfortunately, man, he just, and I mean, listen, these people, it's we're going to talk about this with everybody, but the world seems like it's just butthurt. People are just mad.
Yeah.
I mean, they want a full federal investigation. They want the CIA.
Yeah. But see, one of the things that we lack as black people, as people of color, as Democrat, whatever you want to call it, is the fact of we are so anxious to have what we want to have, we won't let the process take place. So when I said something about, okay, now give him chance to go to the Supreme Court and take it to court and do all this type of thing. No, we need to celebrate. We need to do all these type of things. We have to stop being a people of microwave society. Let things take their place so you have an infrastructure. We're bad with that. Get mad at me? I don't care. But that's the problem with African Americans. That's why we can get derailed so fast by, we'll have a mission. And then we're like that cartoon, like we focus, and then squirrel, something run past, and we like squirrel. Like we bad with that, black people. We need to fix that, man.
And one thing I will.
Time out. I forgot the rest of the show here.
Time out.
You got him.
Giles.
My bad. Thought the show had started.
Hey, look, that was like I just like turned the mic on mid-conversation, and y'all didn't even know we were live on air or something. That's how that
we did. I think we did. We didn't care.
Hey, I done cut sugar out my diet now, man. So I'm ready to go, man.
Hey, but this is WVAI 101 Jams, your home for today's and classics hip hop and R&B. In my humble opinion, is in the booth in the building one more again. Roll call. You got Sir Charles. You got Hey, Ron.
Hey, Ron. What's up?
Trouble T. Roy.
Yeah. What's up? Let's get it.
Giles Morris.
Wait, what happened to Max? I think you need Max today.
Yeah, we do. She on the way, right?
Is she?
We got Miss Max. Miss Max is on the way. Don't y'all worry about it.
These guys are going to ruin your... All right, yeah. Welcome to hyper local, low power FM, non-political radio.
Hey, that's what's up, man.
All right,
shut it down.
Let's see. Roll call. Charlotte Renee Woods. Are you here?
Hi.
All right, present.
Is that one? Was that one person or is it?
That's one person.
Oh, so you gave a whole government out?
Yeah, C-Dub.
I gotta watch you, Lord Jesus.
Hey, but
Charlotte Renee Woods.
So y'all know what time it is. It is in my humble opinion. Once again, thank y'all. Could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with us. And kicking the show off like normal with our partners from Seville Tomorrow. And Giles, that was pretty slick what you said. I appreciate that. I like that because folks got to remember it is our humble opinions. This is nonprofit. It is nonpartisan. All that good stuff. But we still bring truth to light, Giles. Regardless of what side of the aisle you may own, we can reach across the aisle. We, you know what I'm saying? That is all good. But our humble opinions, it's what we do. We take Charlottesville to the world and bring the world to Charlottesville. And so, that being said, Charlotte, Thank you. You know what? Give it up for Charlotte again one more time, y'all.
Hardest working woman in showbiz.
That's right. That's right. Right now, like this is her season. Like this is where she thrives, and she has been sticking with us through and through from the primaries on through now. When we had the election special on Tuesday, she was giving us live from the field reports, and even though she is worn out, she is here back with us again this Sunday to still give us a recap of what happened this week and what we have to look forward to. So Charlotte, I'm trying to figure out where to start, because I had to sort of rein, Razor and Aaron back in.
Now hold on, wait a minute, we're not doing that. No, we were organized. We were just talking.
Yes,
but you jumped the gun a little bit, Aaron. A little bit.
He about to lose his job.
But so Charlotte, just sort of the recap, sort of the overview of our election results. Just for those who, I don't know, may have turned the news off until they say, I'm waiting until this thing is all the way official. Where do we stand, with our results, right? We got three phases. We had the presidential election, we had our Senate election, and we had this particular congressional district, 5th district. So just sort of give us a recap of that, and then we'll dig in.
Yeah, so Mark Warner is reelected. He's going to continue to serve us in Senate. He's been there for quite a while. Then obviously Joe and Kamala are now are projected vice president and president. But then the 5th congressional district was super fascinating to be in the room where that was happening on election night, because leading up to it, I did not expect clear results from that race of all the races. I had been told by multiple people, this one's going to be tough. You're not going to know the results of this one till Friday at the earliest. But by 11 p.m., it was a bit more clear that it was close, but ultimately it was swaying in Bob Good's favor. He made an unofficial acceptance speech for about 45 minutes. And then right as that wrapped up and I started updating the website with coverage of here's what's going on, here's what he said. That was the moment I checked in with Cameron Webb's team. And then they said, give us a minute. And then that's when he called Bob Good to concede and then sent out his official announcement that he had conceded. So then, it was updating the website through spotty Wi-Fi from the passenger seat coming home at 3 a.m. But that's the way things shook out this year. Democrats did not gain the 5th district. They did not end up getting that seat, but they held down their fort in the Senate, at least in Virginia. And then, it looks like we flipped the White House.
Got you. How you feel about that? The flip.
They got a lot of work to do.
It's a lot of work to do.
There's a lot of work to do.
Because when we say flip, one of the things that I'm hearing is that it is actually pretty close, right? It's that it's a slim margin, slim to the point to where we still could face some gridlock possibly on some of these issues. Where do you think that stands? Did it seem like that we got more moderates in to where we think that they can work together, or did the field seem to be heavy, liberal side, and then the Republicans got in with heavy conservative?
Well, I know nationwide, at least in the House, Democrats still have a majority, but they lost a couple seats that Republicans were able to gain. There's some quotes from Spamberger I haven't followed too closely, and that's not in our district, but who knows what our district is going to look like by next year because the amendment passed. Least in terms of the 5th district.
What amendment?
Republican seats.
The redistrict.
The only difference is that Bob Good is a bit more far right as a Republican, and he identifies as such. So I think that there will be less likelihood of some of his policies getting through Congress because it may not be able to get enough bipartisan support.
Hey, Charlotte, I'm curious. I mean, you said the 5th was close. It didn't look close. Did you all feel that it was going to be close because of the late counting of the absentee ballots and that was going to close the margin? What was the feeling in the two camps? Was that like a real thing? Because in the end, it didn't seem very close to me.
Yeah, I know that Cameron's team was focusing on absentee ballots in particular from Charlottesville, Albemarle, Danville. And then Bob Good, his team, he spent election day up here in Albemarle before going back down to Campbell County. And his team was telling me it's been harder for us to get traction in the northern part of the district, but we have been recently. So he wanted to just kind of be present for voters in that area. on the day of election day.
The Albemarle County vote count for that election surprised me.
Yeah?
No.
Why so?
The percentages. Do you remember what they were for Charlotte?
I am pulling them up because it's been a few days and I closed that tab.
She closed that tab on her life. Well, while she's looking at me, I would just say, like, I was just say, like, just to contextualize, what you guys were talking about. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the White House flipped, and there was a day of much rejoicing yesterday for a lot of people all over the world. But on the flip side of that, you see what the reaction from Trump's base is, and total silence from the Republican Party around acknowledging the win. Congress, 4 or 5 seats go back to the Republicans, which just closes that gap, and the Senate is going to be about the runoff in Georgia, and that's going to be super decisive, right? Because if you can control the House and the Senate and the White House in 4 years, you can ram a ton of policy through that people have been waiting on, whether that's health care, immigration, tax reform. You can go down the list. And they know that they're going to start trying to put executive orders through in a month, right away. All the executive orders they're going to have lined up to reverse Trump's executive policies around environmental stuff, around funding stuff. So we're going to see a huge amount of change very quickly, any way you slice it. That's and right. The Donnybrook down in Georgia. I mean, Georgia is so fascinating, right? Virginia's the only state in the South that has gone blue consistently recently, and then look at Georgia, right? So, and it's Atlanta and Savannah doing it. So it's just amazing, just to see that in itself as a phenomenon, and what that's going to mean for Stacey Abrams as a cabinet appointment. The clout that's going to bring, and you already see the Democratic Party fighting over whose fault it was we lost 5 seats in Congress, right? So you got the centrists and Biden camp blaming the left, say, socialists and defund is what hurt us, scared those swing middle-class white voters. But you have other people saying, hey, we wouldn't have won if we hadn't pushed all this summer, right? Exactly. So it's a real interesting dynamic. And I think the Democrats, you'll see that locally too. And it should be a little bit of an inquisition on the 5th, because there was a lot of confidence around that vote, and they got hammered.
Let's take it from there too, and then let's sort of build up to the president, because that was a great overview. Like I think we really touched on all of it.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis, only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. We still here, still standing. And we are rounding this hour out with our friends from Seville tomorrow as promised. We got to get into that presidential election. And, this is going to be the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to come in the show where we're going to tackle that. But particularly I wanted to start with Charlotte and Max because there's, shout out to the Native Americans. Like, they get overlooked a lot in this country since its inception, of course. We know that history. But they showed up and showed out big in the presidential election. And so we see the significance in a lot of demographics. But Max, I want your opinion on the significance of this vice president that we have incoming, and the fact that black women, hate it or love it, puts down for their majority party. 94, and let's check this out, the largest percentage of any demographic, 94% of black women voted for Biden-Harris ticket. So when you hear that, Max, and you see this woman that's coming in to the office, I'm curious how that makes you feel and what you think.
Let me tell you what. So I was watching the speech last night, and when Kamala came out with like that little Beyonce pop in her step, it was just like, yes, as a female, as a black female, I looked at her on that stage and I was like, that's me, right? That's something I can own. That's my daughter. That's us. Like, literally, her victory is all of our victories. And so it was just one of those things that I really wanted to bask in, like, not just the fact that, she's a black female, it's a vice president elect, but just like even down to the speech, it was like, the English language. I never loved it so much, you know. So there was that, and just, you know, just people like herself and Michelle and others who have made such major accomplishments. It just does something for that that barrier, that invisible barrier for everybody, you know. There's something to be taken from it, whether you're male or female, is that we can do this, and it is possible, right? And we belong in all spaces. And so, you know, I didn't, just watching her last night, I really didn't. If you remember, we had a conversation on the show some months back talking about her being viewed as a pawn. And I'm watching the speech, hers and Joe's, and I'm like, pawn where? And it was just like, you know, we as Black people have to be careful that, you know, we don't fall into the trap or the cycle of we don't want what we want, right? So Joe could have picked a Black female because he sees the value in what Black people can bring to this process. And he picked a Black female because she's capable. He picked a Black female because he knows that this country is going to change, and if it's going to change, we need to incorporate, you know, we need to embrace diversity, incorporate the people that can help to facilitate that. And so it was just, I can't even put into words what her victory means. And I'm not, honestly, I'm not looking for some savior in Biden or Harris. I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking for somebody who is going to roll up their sleeves right along with us, right? Because this is we're all connected, and who is looking to heal this country and embrace what's right and embrace what is truth and work alongside us and help to make things better. So
right. And Charlotte, I definitely want you to chime in on your feeling of first woman being, you know, a VP, as well as the feeling of you just being on the ground there, you know, on election night, and you know, like the ins and outs of that. Yeah, like, but what are you feeling? What were you feeling?
I'll speak on Harris first. Yeah, I got misty-eyed last night just thinking about all the little girls, especially Black girls and South Asian girls, who can see themselves in her and what that means. Just the fact that we have a woman vice president, a Black woman vice president, an Indian Black woman vice president. It was just, that was so cool to see. I definitely got a little misty watching the speech because I was just thinking about all the little girls everywhere and what that means for generations going forward of little girls growing up being like, I could do that. Someone's already done that. That was just one of the coolest things to witness in my lifetime. And then in terms of the room on election night, yeah, I was down at Liberty University in Campbell County because I've been following the 5th Congressional District for about a year. And it's always exciting and stressful on election night. Everyone, like all journalists, were always like glued to multiple electronic devices and keeping tabs on the room. But yeah, being in there on that night was definitely a different experience just because we're in the middle of a pandemic and only 10 of us were wearing masks. So that was just a whole other layer of stress, and, you know, just the last week, just making sure I'm like, am I feeling any strange? Like, do I need to not go visit people or see people for a little while kind of situation just to be sure. Right. Yeah. And I guess I'm sorry, I lost where I was going with this. It's been a week. It's been a week.
No, yeah, that is right on point. But you know, at all, this election, like what y'all,
like Max's
what y'all
wisdom.
thinking, guys?
Max's wisdom: don't be afraid to want what you want. I love that.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, the interesting thing, and I'm super, I don't even want to say happy. I'm actually relieved that Biden and Harris, that obviously that they got the nomination. I was also a little not surprised because, truth be told, somebody should be able to slap Trump. Like he should, like no, I'm being serious, and I mean like, and I'm not saying slap it and violent. I'm talking about this should have been to me, this should have been a wash. Like this should have been a wash, and the fact that it was even this close, kind of told me
it says a lot about people.
Well, it says I already knew that about people.
Yeah,
I already knew that about people, but also I was thinking like, man, Biden and Harris, I didn't really like the campaign at all either. I didn't really think that they had a platform. I am super interested in seeing what the Republican Party rolls out in 2024 because I think the elderly white conservative is not going to work anymore at all.
I think that I think both parties are really going to have kind of an identity crisis going
Absolutely,
forward.
Charlotte. Yeah.
You've got the Dems just kind of being like, how progressive and liberal do we go or how moderate do we stay? And then you've got the Republicans being like, okay, well, Trump came in here and hijacked the party. Okay, well, now how do we pick up the pieces? What do we stand for now?
And in conjunction with, I agree with that, Charlotte. And then the other thing is that if it was an independent candidate starting today, I would literally be building my platform because this country is ripe for something different because you can even feel the energy just from the people. A group of women, I'm not sure what they look like, but a group of women in an independent party and says, no, we're going to get some of this masculine energy out of here. You know, I've been talking about that for ages, Max. I think that we need more women because men have proven, black, white, Hispanic, we have not proven that we've done a good job. So you don't doing this thing at all.
You don't think that they're going to do like they did after Obama and then formulate and try to block everything and lock the country up?
I think that you're going to see. I think you're definitely going to see the white backlash. I'm not sure what that's going to look like. It is coming. I know even after. Well, first of all, I also don't know. I don't think Trump is going to get out of there that quickly. I think this thing is going to drag on, and I don't even know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
So I've told everybody, and I think we said it when we first got on here. Everything that we thought was going to happen happened. But everything that we think is going to happen probably is going to happen as well.
I think the new independent party is going to look like highly female. I think it's going to be LGBTQ. I think it's going to be Latino, Latinx, Latina, whatever, however that goes. I think as the independent party, we showed Bernie had a lot of good things to say, but Bernie still looked like an old white man. So I think that the independent party will look like...
He looked like it or he was.
But I think the independent party will look like everything that America comes against. That's been fighting like the two parties.
And America is that. I mean, I think I told you guys that I have a financial advisor that I talk to. He doesn't manage my money, but he and I talk. And he told
that ain't your financial advisor.
Well, he's made me some. He made me some money. I can tell you that. Shout out to Kay. You know where you at.
That's barbershop talk. That's all that is.
But he told me before the election. He said, "Aaron, I am probably going to pull the lever for Trump." But he said, I have a huge problem with his fascist and white supremacist views because all the anarchy he thinks that is going to happen with the Biden election, he says it would have probably happened under him too. And that made me think, because that's coming from somebody from his own party. But then I was like, well, how come you guys don't talk more like this? And he didn't. I just heard crickets. And so I think that goes into Charlotte's point, is that what is this party going to stand for?
Oh, white people don't go against white people like we do.
And listen, and the numbers, and I mean, we're not. We talk about. I've seen so many things in the news that, and I'm going to say this because it's been bothering me. So many things we got to wrap up, but so many things in the news talking about black men voting for Trump. Why are we not having the same conversation about white women voting for Trump?
Yeah. Go to break. Take us, Matt. The preacher getting ready to get started here.
Yeah, you got me.
No, we get that. So Max. Well, first, before we go to break, we got to thank Charlotte. Charlotte, thank you as always. Keep up the great work. We look forward to hearing the further reports from you. Giles, are you sticking with us?
I can stick through the transition if you want.
Okay,
I mean,
it's up to you.
Like, so yeah, going on.
So Max, I'm gonna kick it to you to invite our next guest. But we're gonna get back to this later in the show. So if you want to hang on or dial back in, Giles, it's up to you. But Max, I'll kick it to you to end the hour and introduce our next guest.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on this week, guys.
Thank you, Charlotte. Talk to you soon.
Great work,
Thank
Charlotte.
you.
Have a good Sunday.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
IMHO Talk Show. You have Sir Charles.
Max.
Razor.
I love it.
What's going on with y'all?
Max, you should have seen how he did it too. He did Sir Charles Max. He went.
Hey, look, I grew up playing double dutch in Philadelphia, so I was waiting. Soon as Max said, I'm here.
He was ready to
Doing
go.
that on purpose.
Nah, that was on purpose, by all means.
Oh, his neck moved quick.
Yes,
He
sir.
jumped right in front of the microphone.
You know, Razor, interestingly enough that you said Philly, because we know Philly was the swing battleground for this
Absolutely.
election. They counted all them Jones.
Absolutely. They was waiting though. Philly did that on purpose. Philly did that on purpose. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So like, how about we just jump back into that, man?
I saw a meme that said Philly threw down them ballots like boom, the color's blue.
Yeah. Yeah, that was on purpose, man. If you've ever hung any time in Philadelphia, you know those jokers, when they come together, they're strategic.
Yeah.
And they mean to send a message when they do something.
Yeah, and I have a lot of family from Philly, so I ain't throwing no shade. But remember, they the ones that beat up Santa Claus
Absolutely.
at the Eagles game.
They slap box before Thanksgiving dinner. You know what I'm saying? Philly is a different animal.
The good they done.
Yeah, for sure. You're right.
Well, the only good I can think of Philadelphia, they made cheesesteaks. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
Other than that, ain't too much good
Claus.
coming out of Philadelphia.
Yo, wow. But I will say though,
Love you, Philly.
yeah, for sure. Man, it's like the one thing, another significant part about Philly, I think, y'all, is that they have a strong black presence, strong black community, and when I say that, there's multiple of our, what we would consider black-led organizations, some of which are militant. And I bring this up because we know that there's already the verbal backlash. We know that there's the threat of folks talking about civil wars and all this stuff, and about how they're gonna, protest if they try to force Trump out of office because the Democrats cheated and all this stuff. So I saw one post online where they was like, "You don't want that smoke in Philly.
No, sir.
Philly's the wrong place for you to go."
Let me tell you something. When I was a kid, a lot of people don't remember this. Y'all might listen to songs and stuff, but we was around the people that came from this. They had the Junior Black Mafia. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was things that went on in Philadelphia that you did not play with, man. Like, it's certain people you don't want to mess with.
That's facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if just because he's sitting over here turning the water hose on and they playing in the street and trash everywhere, you know what I'm saying? There's a different animal in there if you interact that person.
That's facts. Now, speaking of different animal, the change that we have at the top guard of our country, like, if y'all don't mind, let's take it towards, like, just for what it is. Those who voted for Trump and those who may have voted for Biden. Let me just kick it off by saying I've grown in my perception of that. Whereas, of course, the knee jerk reaction was, like Joe said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That's our knee jerk reaction a lot of times, like when we look at people like Trump or like Republicans. But I found, man, that like when you dig in the layers and Razor, when was it? It was just the other day. You and I was sitting with the white gentleman, and those kind of conversations, you see that there's so many aspects of why people vote the way that they do. There's some people who see this country as so corrupt right now to where they're like, if Trump is going to collapse this country, that's what we need, because it needs to start over.
That's right.
Whether that's right or wrong, that's how they think. Now the issues are totally different thing, but to me, man, it's like my representative, my leader, like, he's too narcissistic. He's xenophobic. He's homophobic.
Too many faults.
Yeah, he can't represent me. I don't care what his politics are, and that's what
Which is why I can't get past why Christians support him.
Thank you.
Say it again, Max.
You want to start this now or later, Max?
Yeah, say it again, Max.
I mean, because that whole, and we can talk about Miss Paula White, because y'all remember what the thing I sent you about her praying to African angels, saying that she was going to receive victory. This woman was his spiritual advisor for the last 4 years since he's got into office. A huge black population in her church. And the thing that, and Max, I wanted to talk to Max, the thing that I always find fascinating about conservative Christians is that they always talk about things with him and his administration that don't apply to something he directly said. Well, we're standing for abortion. We're standing for this. But you're not talking about him saying, grabbing him by the such and such. You're not talking about him calling NFL players sons of you-know-what. We're not talking about 2 days before an election, and Charles and I were talking about this. He has his supporters standing out there saying, F LeBron James. Were you supposed to be talking about COVID-19, the pandemic, what we're doing about the economy, and your supporters are out there saying, F LeBron James. But that's morally, that's okay. You see what I'm saying? That's okay. But we'll talk about all this other kind of stuff. When the reality is that in leadership, we talked about this the other day, and I want to get Max's take, but you're responsible for everything that goes on under your house.
Falls on your watch.
Everything that happened, and you got so much crap that fell under your watch. How do you even represent this guy? How? To me, it's just blasphemous. Forget about the policy. They print money, Charles. They print money.
And what policy? And no debate that I hear, this is what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it.
Yeah, no politician really tells you their plan. I'm sorry, Max. Go ahead,
Max.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, the thing that I don't understand with this administration, and in a lot of ways the Republican Party, is because they kind of define themselves by the fact that they are by their Christian values, right? Anti-abortion. They condemn homosexualism and other things that they just say these are our Christian morals. It's against God, and we will not stand for it.
So they say.
And then they will turn a blind eye or make all of these exceptions to everything else between the cover to cover in the King James Bible that I read that is still morally against God. And it's not a case where I expect too much, but it really gives me a realistic perspective of the people in this world who call themselves Christians who aren't really Christians.
Charles, you know what messes me up?
What's that?
Okay. Ty Cooper, I was in a meeting with Ty Cooper the other day, and he reminded me that there's certain rooms that I'm in as a black man that a lot of people aren't in.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I want to touch back to the white gentleman that you were talking about, that we had the conversation with. That gentleman is a preacher's son, no different than you and Aaron, right? And he can tell me he's going to come pick up my sons, and I wouldn't question it. I can tell him I'm going to pick up his kids. I can walk in his house in his refrigerator with him being there or not being there. Like, this is my friend. He is a Trump supporter. And he told you to himself, I care about my money.
Yeah.
So when you have the chance to view that type of Trump supporter,
yes, makes a difference.
It kind of throws your mind, because by all standards, he looks just like the Trump supporter that is riding around with the flag on the back, almost trying to insinuate intimidation in some form or fashion, just because of the way he looks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I can personally tell you, this white gentleman is closer to me than most of the African Americans that I'm around in the county that I live in.
And that's supposed to be what America is, though, right? It's like we're supposed to be able to peacefully disagree, but still have the humanity about us. And,
of course.
And so that's what I questioned about that gentleman, like not discrediting him as a friend, but But how can any policy, because, I'll get into this later, but if we look at the policies, Trump is riding Obama's coattail, and a lot of Obama's policies are set to expire this year. So then if he was reelected, we would have saw that next year, how many people lose their insurance, jobless, all that kind of stuff was about to come down. So, but my point, though, is that I just don't see how an apparently nice person like that can excuse how ugly this administration was to people.
The sad part about it is he's very much like me, where he puts his finances above a lot of things. Now, most people that look at my posts, you see what I care about. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here getting about this money, and I catch a lot of flack from our African American people. Don't text me about it, right? Yeah, don't text Charles about that, because I don't give a D. I'm gonna say it twice, but I care about money. I put money at a very high standard. Now, nobody has ever asked me why I care about money, because I'm steward over, at any time, 8 children. You know what I'm saying? I employ people. My finances allows me to live the life that I live. If I don't get up and hunt, I don't eat.
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? So honestly, business-wise, I care about the financial aspects of life, because they open up the other aspects of life for me. When people send me like little memes of Mario Peoples talking about, if you ain't part of the solution, you part of the problem, you can't do this, you got to think about more. That's because you get up and you go answer to somebody that pays you, or you go to mailboxes and you get money from people that, for whatever your situation is. That's not me.
Right.
If I don't hunt and kill, I don't eat.
And Max, before we kick it to you, Aaron, where does that come from? Because you're a businessman, like you straight.
Me and Aaron are two different type of businessmen.
Get money, right? So that's why I want his perspective is like you are responsible for getting money from one place to the person,
right?
Like, so where do you think that interpretation of Republicans with money versus Democrats with money come from?
I think it's a warped interpretation, because I've been working for 15, 20 years, and the people that had wealth then have wealth now. And I know somebody might say that's pretty simplistic. It is. They know the tax loops. They know you have to own a business. They understand LLCs, S corps, tax shelters, and all these other
tax
things,
write-offs,
and everything. The problem is that, and let's be real, even some of these black men, some of these things, and Razor will understand where I'm going with this. When you got guys talking about they want to vote for Trump because of certain tax incentives, you're not even in that bracket to say that you're going to get those incentives.
That's right.
Right.
That's
of
right.
Course.
Let me stop that. But let's be real. He's talking about certain numbers. Only two out of 100, 2 men out of 100 men in a room are going to even be in that number. 2%. So we're going to throw that out the window. When that dollar has zero value because of wars, because of policies, because of his lack of diplomacy, because of trade tariffs, because all of a sudden the euro was kicking our you-know-what, and our dollar is basically worth nothing except paper which they printed on, then talk to me about your money. Talk to me about your money then. See, you can't worship that, because they print money, Charles.
Yeah.
They print it. It's backed by nothing. You can't put that above us as human beings. And the last thing I'll say is that the United States government and racism created all of this stuff that we're seeing in this country right now. They created the problem. But you want to value money.
Right.
It ain't even your problem that you created. They created the problem.
Yeah.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
Hey, Max. Somebody about to stage out.
Look, I was just telling y'all, I was saving that line for yesterday. I was saving it. Somebody pay that girl some royalty.
Yeah.
Hey, better.
Somebody let her out of jail.
All right, yeah, so we are back, family, to round off this show, IMHO Talk Show. And yeah, I mean, like, that's just, we just kicking the actual factual, that's what we're doing. But y'all, I mean, chime in how you wish, and folks as well. You hit us online, IMHO Talk Show, 434-422-9101. But here's what I want to know, because, I mean, like, we got a few more shows left for this year before January 20th, inauguration. Yeah. But now, though, what's next? Like, what's next? All right, so Biden won the election.
Yeah.
And Razor, like, you faithfully remind us that, hey, Trump hasn't conceded yet.
Yeah.
There's a Supreme Court that he put in place, right?
Yeah.
That they have to sign off and say there was no funny business, right? So, yeah. So, I mean, do y'all even want to talk about that, or do we want to talk about what's next as far as just politics and policy? Because I fear, that we so happy right now to where we're going to take our foot off the pedal a little bit, and we can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I'll say is that the IMHO crew, we've been on the pedal since the show been started. Yeah. So that, and
the we is a collective.
Yeah, I know you're talking about as a collective, but I think that's what everybody in their own individual lives is like. Listen, racism ain't ending with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Economic problems are still going to have it under Joe Biden.
That's right.
So you need to have some personal responsibility in this deal and not be expecting something different. It's almost like now you'll have a spokesperson that won't say the things that are bad under Trump with some of the fascist and white supremacist stuff. But Biden is not going to walk in there and all of a sudden you see a savior. He's going to make some really bad decisions. He's going to make some poor ones. And you need to have that expectation. And we got to have quid pro quo, which is we going to hold you to what you say you're going to do. And guess what, Joe? You might even get this smoke too. You might get this smoke 2 months in.
Yeah.
And that's how we can really, raise it. We'll let the people know we're serious about this thing. It ain't just going to be you're going to run over us all day.
The first thing they need to do, in my opinion, is when they take it to the Supreme Court, if they take it to the Supreme Court, the first thing they have to show is, okay, look, all these people voted during Obama, black people. These are black votes. These aren't made up votes. These are just black people that decided to vote. That's how they need to approach it right off the bat.
So, Razor, so you're saying the fact that they got 40,000 Rayshawn Kenesha Thompson ballots, that's valid? That's okay?
That's what they need to do. Because when you look at how many people don't care and didn't vote on 2016, you know what I'm saying? You just have to look at the disparity. That's the way they need to go in. Yep. These aren't fake votes. These are black votes. Period, point blank. Put a stamp on it. Boom. Now, us as people need to understand there's a midterm coming up after, right?
100%.
So as soon as we finish celebrating, we need to start saying, okay, let's build something that gives them something to work with. Like Charles was saying earlier, you put things in place so that we can make a lot of changes really quick, but they have to have something to work with them, or it gets tied up like it did with Obama.
Yeah. What you think, Max?
Oh, I think it's certainly time to hold them accountable, right? We voted them into the positions that they are because we expect them to do exactly what they say they're going to do. And so, it's not time to step away from that. It's certainly not time to let them do all the work, if you will. And then if it don't pan out, it's all their fault. This is a simultaneous effort. It is a joint effort, and everybody needs to understand that it's going to take time, as Aaron mentioned, to get us to where we want to be. And we may not, we hope to make strides in 4 years, but we may not see all that we want or expect in 4 years. But yeah, they're no different than anybody else. We are holding them accountable.
Yeah. So Razor and I were talking about just the way that you can feel the atmosphere change for our community when there's a Democrat or Republican in office. And I credit that to Democrats sort of like lure us to sleep a little bit sometimes. And then with the Republicans, it's like a lot of times that they don't have your community at heart as far as policies that they put in place. So it makes us work harder. And I think sometimes that sort of like plays a trick on our mind to think that somehow my business is better, or we're even better off with Republicans in office. But I think it's more about they remind us that, hey, like not everybody in this government is for you. So in saying that, and I was listening to Malcolm X's The Ballad or the Bullet, infamous speech. And so that's the thing is like I get some of my black folks who say, well, we originally were Republicans. True. But when you look at history, the parties kind of shift and they evolve into different things representing different people. So again, it doesn't matter who's in the office, y'all. It's like we got to stick to whatever our plan is, like whatever our demands are of our government. Like we can't get pacified by anything now. We got to work just as hard and still put our business first, Razor. Even though Democrats in office, like, don't worry about the red tape. If Democrats put up a new regulation that may make it harder for you to start a business, whatever. We still got to be focused and determined.
Yeah, I think, and I wanted to get Razor's take, I think that this time around, because that's what I was saying a little bit earlier, was that, man, Biden and Harris, they should have crushed Trump, truth be told. I know a lot of black people that did not vote. I mean, a lot. And it was strategically. And a lot of it had to do with some of the policies that Biden and Harris had with the crime bill from her duties when she was an attorney, all this stuff. And because that was such an issue, I think the Democratic Party might not say it up front, but in the back of their mind, they know there was a ton of flack when Obama left office about the things he was not able to do specifically for black population. And when you have so many black people that did not vote in this election, the moment that it starts to feel like this is a happy-go-lucky church service for Kamala Harris, Razor, I don't think it's going to go very well.
I'm curious, were those people majority like New York voters, culprit voters?
I'm not sure, but there was. I know a lot of people on the West Coast.
Okay.
A lot of people on the West Coast. A lot of people in Georgia. It was everywhere, but it was strategic. It's like, look, they don't represent us. A lot of it for them was we would rather have Trump in there because we know what this racism is going to look like. So everybody had that feeling, but I'm just thinking that Obama backlash. They might have right now. They might have won, but Razor, I think that backlash for them might come even faster. And I'm going to put this out there right now, Max. Her backlash as a female is going to be totally different. And I don't want that energy. I don't want that energy to come for her. But the reality is that administration needs to be prepared for it.
Two things.
Yeah, it will be. But with the people that you're referencing, like no vote is still a vote too. So you mean to tell 100%. Me you're still okay? You're still okay with all the things that the Trump administration is putting down right now?
I don't agree or disagree with you because yep.
And I think it's crazy too that people talk about this like they have you have a choice, like it's Joe or is Biden or is Trump. Is not voting is not giving you an alternate choice, like. And I don't understand. I don't understand how when people look at it like that. Like I don't care for either one of them, so I'm just not going to.
One thing that I find is going to be a problem is, and a lot of people don't want to admit this, a lot of black women voted for Kamala because she was a black woman, no different than we did for Obama. But they don't want to say that, right? And number two,
not me.
A lot of I didn't say all. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest from what I see. And then a lot of black people voted. They did what white people do to us all the time. It's not that they were voting for Biden. They were voting against Trump. Right. Okay. Now the problem with that is you don't have any substance to that. It's almost like a matchstick. You know what I'm saying? It burns bright, but then it burns out quickly. And the reason that I'm saying this is because while we were talking about Trump, we were talking about Biden, we weren't talking about what plan B was after the election.
Yeah, he had no platform.
Right. He had no platform, and we were comfortable with that. Because
homeboy was so bad, you had to get him out of it. That's how bad
white people have done it all the time. They're like with Cameron, like what y'all said earlier, he's so accomplished that they may have, I'm not saying you did, but they may have found him as a threat because it was just too strong of an African-American male. We can't put you in place right there.
And that's sad that we got to even be that way, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, we need to say these things. You know what I'm saying? When we say these things, we can bring upon change.
Yeah, and there's no perfect time for any of this stuff either. But I think that what this has proved, this election, with the close votes and some of the suppression that the Republicans are saying, some of the suppression the Democrats are saying, there's no perfect time to get rid of the Electoral College, but I think this is the perfect time. Like, at some point, being able to get the popular vote and still not winning the election based upon rules that were put in place during slavery is absurd. The Electoral College, this is stuff I didn't even know. The Electoral College, which is, everybody's watching on TV, how all the states get the votes. Razor, that has only been challenged 2 times, seriously, by professional politicians in 1800 and in 1968. 2 times in 220 years. That's absurd. But when do we throw that out just be able to just trust the process and really have a true democracy?
But see, what the thing is, Aaron, when it comes to that, it's one of those things will make you laugh, make you cry, because it worked well for Trump when he went against Hillary,
right?
And then it came back to bite him in the butt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like old people say, will make you laugh, make you cry.
Yeah, but we got to get rid of it, man, at some point, because we're gonna be here 4 years later.
I've been saying that.
I agree. Yeah.
I've been once. Who was that came on? Charles from Danville, the guy that.
Which one was that?
You talking about Justin?
Justin.
Yeah,
when Justin came on and explained it to me, it literally locked my mind up because I wasn't taught it in school.
I wasn't either.
So once he said it and I started researching it, I was like, this is a problem. You know what I'm saying? So then when I would put things on Facebook, of course, Trump supporters would say, no, this is this, and no, this is that, and this, that, and the other. And then I look at what your values are, and I understand why you support it, because more times than not, it's going to benefit you. It benefits what your granddaddy did that left you what you have. So I understand you supporting it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And see, I can at least appreciate the effort that Biden gave, like in the debates. I feel like he at least looked at the camera and tried to articulate the differences between the two and like things that he wanted to do, even if he maybe didn't give out like details on like how it was going to be accomplished. Like, I just felt like that Trump just gets up there and like he's on The Apprentice or something. It's like he just want to insult you and try to show off.
Yeah,
he's a businessman.
He's a businessman.
Like, but I felt like Biden made a asserted effort to speak to the people and at least
that we were
give some sort of guidance.
You're the important ones here.
And now Kamala, like, she knocked it out the park. Like, I think the vice presidential debate far surpassed the presidential debate as far as substance.
As any black woman would have.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And that smoke that Aaron was talking about earlier that's going to come for her. She, as a black woman, and people are not going to like this, like we kind of built for that. We kind of deal with that on a daily basis, we can maneuver through certain situations that other women can't necessarily. And so I think it will come, but I think that she'll handle it with
I don't
grace
think it'll
and be
come.
just fine.
Max,
I do.
wait, let me finish. Let me finish. I don't think it will come because she's vice president. You can't put her ahead of the president. She's a support role at this point. So it's what vice president have you ever seen that has to get in front of the camera more than the president?
But you proved my point.
Was Michelle in a support role?
Yeah, but that's what you proved.
She was the wife.
Michelle, but that's
no, that's different.
No, but I agree with what you're saying, but I'm saying that now the fact that you have, technically, Charles, can we say that she's the second highest position in the world? Maybe is that technically
it's still support.
Like by hierarchy.
By hierarchy, I think that the way she's going to be scrutinized intentionally is going to be totally different. I don't think you're not going to be able to hide, because Obama was not able to hide.
So you're right, Razor.
She supports.
Like, so you're right that she support.
Yeah, we're not disagreeing with you. Yeah.
Like, so you're right that she support, but I think what everybody else is saying is that, like, intentionally, they're going to go after. Like, just like they went after Michelle. Like, what first lady gets...
first lady. Right, that's different.
Right. Like, but what first lady gets ridiculed the way Michelle Obama did? The whole point is that, Kamala being a black woman is going to make some people go out of their way to give attention to her.
Right, but Michelle also put herself out there as a platform. Let's be honest.
She did.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't put yourself out there and expect not somebody to take a shot at you.
It's going to be hard.
Just be honest.
And even
Go ahead, Max.
And even if Kamala's ridicule isn't public, can you just imagine what she's going to face in private rooms? Whether she's dealing with people
she signed up for that,
or Well, yes, that's true. That's true. But we're talking about the backlash that she's going to get, the scrutiny that she's going to get. She's going to face it. It's inevitable.
Right. Still going to.
I don't think she's going. I don't think she's going to get it because if you look at how they attack Michelle, right? Mm-hmm. They try to say she a man. They try to say she all these type things.
She wore her shoulders out. She showed her shoulders.
Yeah, well.
Which explains to you a lot of what we see about Kamala, but that's a different story.
But Kamala is already carrying herself before she got to that point. She show up, tennis shoes, suit.
And they said something about her boots. Remember when she got off the plane? They said something about her boots?
Yeah, they said something about her boots. But at this point, she's support role. Like, you really don't hear from the vice president. You know what I'm saying? You just don't hear. You just don't hear from it.
That's true. Like, but the point that I'm trying to make though is that I expect them to come after her because of who she is.
I don't. I don't. If she plays the part, she won't have to. You know what I'm saying? They'll come after Joe being unfit and all this other type stuff, and it's set up for her to become president. They'll say stuff like that. But if she does it like most vice presidents do it, and she steps back, she won't come across no stuff.
As time will tell.
I don't know. Yeah,
but what are we gonna do? Like, you know what? Like, in the last 2 minutes, what's the one thing, y'all? Like, everybody give their one thing that we've been doing this year, whether it's protesting, whether it's talking about reparations, whatever. What's that one thing that we as a community should put on Biden and Harris's table?
COVID.
Okay.
Honestly, that's the reason I voted for Biden. Business wise, y'all can say what you want about the 2% and this, that, and other. But when it comes to tax write-offs, I know what benefits me and my family. But the fact the fact that he would not take COVID seriously, it doesn't matter if I'm worth $500,000 if I'm dead or hooked to a ventilator.
Unless you got some good insurance.
It don't matter. Shoot. It does. I ain't got that good insurance. I can tell you that now. Look, but honestly, COVID.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I 100% agree with Razor, because with the I like to call them the deceitful U.S. job numbers that we see out here. The unemployment is a lot higher with some of the possible mortgage crisis and just the different things we're going to see. That's just inevitable when you have a pandemic. You got to have some strong leadership that's going to come in there, because we haven't really seen the long-lasting effect of the pandemic because we're still in it. But all those people that are not working in those service jobs, they're going to have to come back. The lingering health issues that are going to come down the pipe, the unemployment, and how do you bring back jobs for a class of people? And I think Razor and I talked about this, that don't have skills. What are you going to do? And that population is not going to be working. Those people tend to get mad. And when they get mad, they don't do good stuff, and it's just natural. They steal. They kill. That is coming, and I think you have to have the right level of leadership. So I just hope that Joe and Kamala, and really just bipartisan, can they really come together, Democrats and Republicans, to figure this thing out? Go ahead, Max.
Yeah. So Max, I'm gonna kick it over to you to close, but I just want to say, I just want us to stick to our guns, to our plan, like the whole plan. Yeah.
If I had to add to that list, I would say police reform, criminal justice system reform, and denouncing racism, and sending a clear message that it's not acceptable.
Mass incarceration is getting ready to go back up, y'all.
We're gonna talk about that next year.
Yeah, mass incarceration is getting ready to go back up. I promise you.
All right, Miss Max, take us home.
Yeah. Great show. We appreciate our listening audience. Thanks for tuning in to In My Humble Opinion. That's a new chapter, and I hope that we all make the best of it from the presidency down. Let's create a better America.
All right, till next time, IMHO, y'all.
Yeah.